Hey guys, this is Nick with Northwest Open Season, and in this video I'm going to go over everything you need to know to catch salmon from the shore, especially in the fall. I'm going to address this video as if you're a beginner, and this is everything you need to know to get started. Hope you enjoy. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the gear, and then we're going to get into how to find fish and where to find fish. So this is a basic setup for fishing for salmon from the shore, and this is a 10-foot Cabela's fish eagle, rated 10 to 20 pounds. And basically you want a rod no shorter than about 8 foot and no longer than 10 foot. That gives you a pretty good range of options for rods. I found that a 9 to 10 foot rod is optimum for casting for distance. You can get away with an 8-foot rod, but that kind of leaves you a little bit short on getting some of that leverage for casting. This is a Cabela's Salt Striker spinning reel. When it comes to buying a reel, I want to have something that's going to hold at least 200 yards of 30-pound braid. So in general, 30-pound braid is going to be about the diameter of 8-pound test. So this reel is actually rated for 410 yards of 8-pound test. So this has got plenty of room to load up with 30-pound braid. And you could go 20-pound if you want. Some guys do that. Some guys go heavier, but I think 30-pound is just about right. The advantage of using braided fishing line for casting spinners in the fall is that you can cast braid a lot farther than you can cast mono. You get a smaller diameter, you get more line on your reel, it casts a lot farther, it's just as strong. But one of the problems that you're going to find with casting braid is that it's really light and it has the potential to wind knot really easy. So instead of tying directly to your lure, we found it optimal to use a mono bumper. And I'm going to show you how we do that real quick. So first thing you want to do is put a bead on your braid, and that's going to keep you from reeling into the tip of your fishing rod, which if you're using a swivel and you keep reeling that into the tip, eventually you could do damage. So all you need, you slip your bead on there, and you're going to tie on a barrel swivel, and I just buy a barrel swivel that's rated to about 30 pounds. And then you're going to go from your barrel swivel, see right there, about 24 inches of 30-pound mono. Again, you could probably get away with 20-pound, but salmon are not leader shy, so you might as well go 30-pound. That's the way I look at it. Some guys even go up to 40. They are toothy critters, so just keep that in mind. These right here are my preferred spinners for casting spinners in the fall for salmon. These are called Squid Stingers, and these are handmade in Salem, Oregon. And these are just super high quality spinners. And what makes these better than the other ones, I believe, is that they're weighted, so they cast really, really well, and you can also troll these things without having to add too much weight. So these are two of my favorites. This is a pink King 7, and this is a Chartreuse Magnum 8. And you can buy these at Fishfield and Tigard, or you can go online, and I'll put some information in the description down below where you can buy these lures if this is what you're into. Some guys prefer to use Blue Fox Vibrax spinners. Those will work. They're not very heavy, so you might have to add some weight to them. Another type of spinner that you can use is a Flying C. It's kind of a similar spinner to one of these, except for it's just not as detailed. These have UV skirts on them. Caught a lot of fish on these. This is what I prefer. One modification that I like to make when I find these when I buy these and pull them out of the boxes, you'll see that these come with a really nice, sharp treble hook, which is great, especially if you're fishing for Chinook and there's a retention season that you can keep anything that you catch. However, here in Oregon, we have some rivers that require you to use a single hook, and so you need to have the ability to swap these hooks out. And also, I also prefer a single hook a lot of times, especially when I'm fishing for coho, because of the fact that coho, when you hook them with a spinner, if you guys have ever caught one before, you know that coho go crazy. They jump, they roll, they splash, you name it, they're tearing all over the place. And if you hook a coho with a treble hook and he does that and it's a wild coho and you end up having to let it go, that fish is going to be hurting by the time you put it back in the water, I guarantee it. So here's a modification that I've made, and I found it to be really successful. What I end up doing is taking that treble hook off, and then I add a barrel swivel, another split ring, and then a single point hook. You can use Siwash hooks, and you can attach them straight to this other split ring, but if you use a barrel swivel in between, that gives this spinner the ability to keep spinning 360 degrees, and that fish can roll and thrash as much as he wants and this hook will stay buried. This is actually a bait holder hook. You can see that. A lot of Siwash hooks are just straight shanks on the hook, and that's all you need to know about setting up and casting spinners from shore, which is my preferred method of catching salmon in the fall. Now I'm going to go over some of the places and things that you want to look for when trying to figure out where to go fishing for fall salmon.
So in Oregon, our salmon tend to show up around August, and the fishery will remain through about November. The fish usually show up earliest in the north and south ends of the coast, so around Buoy 10 in the Columbia and some of the southern coast around Winchester Bay is where the fish will first start showing up in August, but most of the bays will have salmon by September. So just look at which bay is closest to you and look at what the regulations are for that bay and go give it a try. So there's a lot to think about when trying to find an area to fish in a bay. But two of the things you want to keep in mind are areas where the fish are going to get pushed to you, and then make sure that you have enough depth to cast and retrieve a spinner without snagging. Some of the areas you want to look for are pinch points, rocky points, jetties, and beaches with a steep incline. This is really about the easiest way that you can catch fall salmon. You're literally just casting a spinner, letting it sink for a few seconds, and then retrieving it at different speeds. Salmon are generally extremely aggressive in the fall in tidewater, especially coho. That's why they're more than willing to chase down a spinner that's actively coming across their strike zone. Another thing I like to keep in mind when I'm looking for a place to fish is the depth of the water in front of me. I try to find things that are between about 5 feet to 15 feet deep. That way, no matter where my spinner is while I'm retrieving it, it's most likely in the strike zone of a salmon. They can always see upward, but they can't see downward, but they can always feel the vibrations if the spinner is close enough. So if you're fishing in less than 15 feet of water, there's a good chance that that spinner is going to be within a certain distance of that salmon, that he's either going to see it or feel the vibrations, and that could activate a strike. Remember that the best way to learn how to catch these fish is to get out and try it and learn on your own. This is just some of the basic examples that I could come up with to help get you started. I hope you found this information helpful, and by golly, I hope you subscribe to this channel so you can look forward to getting more helpful content in the future and seeing some other cool videos. So get out there and good luck, and remember, always cast into the wet side.